It's been a story for a while now. You know, Trubisky, is he the guy? Talking about the draft, we already covered that as well. And now, of course, you're right, Chris. This is Pandora's Box 2.0. Daniel hit as he throws, and that's incomplete. It's going to give the ball to the Rams with 1:48 remaining in the fourth quarter. Never a dull moment in the National Football League, right?
Well, it's basically over now for the Chicago Bears. Maybe it was a bit of a desperation move to see if Chase Daniel could provide some kind of a spark. But boy, it makes the rest of the season really interesting, because you said it right. Chase Daniel is not the long-term answer here, right? Of course. And so now, what are you doing with Mitchell Trubisky the rest of the way? I mean, this is interesting to say the least.
So this is a team that went 12-4 last year. Lost in the wild card game only because of the double doink. And there goes Gurley. He wants to just stay in bounds to keep that clock going, so he falls to the ground at the 15-yard line. And the expectations were so high. Let's go back to that draft in 17. First three quarterbacks, they traded up from 3 to 2 to make sure the 49ers didn't pick him. Trubisky, second overall. Mahomes, well, we know what he's done. Watson, didn't have a good day today, obviously, but he's been pretty terrific along the way. So that's been a lot of the narrative around the Windy City of late. And the whole Chicago brain trust. You know, look, we all know the draft is a crapshoot. Gurley.
4-6. Rams beat them 17-7 in Los Angeles. We'll get you right back to Hemp OB and Cause with Mark Carman for the Bears postgame. Blackhawks win 4 straight. They beat the Sabres 4-1.
Just it was something in the second half. One of the hits I took got evaluated at halftime. Something in the hip region where I was just trying to keep it loose the second half and be able to make plays for my team. And I just kept getting tighter and tighter in the hip region, and I just couldn't move around like I wanted to, and I was just throwing with a lot of arm, and I was trying to make plays and stay on the field and fight through, and just disappointed I couldn't finish the game out.
Was it hurt in the first half?
It was one of the last drives, the second half, so just try to second quarter, so just try to keep it loose, and just kept getting tighter and tighter, and this is really preventing me to play my game, and just it's frustrating.
How difficult was it to have that conversation with Matt on the sidelines and make that decision that you had to come to?
Yeah, it was very difficult. I really wasn't saying much. They just decided the shape I was in, I just couldn't help the team the way I wanted to, and so it's super disappointing, and just gotta see what it is, monitor this next couple days, and hopefully it doesn't prevent me from being out next week. And it just sucks. I wish I could just finish out with my guys, but they made a call that they felt was best for the team. You got to support that, and just got to be 100% to be out there with your team, and I just couldn't do that. You're right.
Matt talked about some throws to your left, maybe you can tell that you're pulling off a little bit, and there's a lot of parts that also felt like how did it affect your mechanics?
Yeah, I was just all arm second half pretty much. So just trying to fight through the pain and try to make the throws. I felt like I was still putting the ball in some pretty good spots, and just couldn't move around or couldn't buy time, and just throwing with a lot of arm, so it affected the accuracy a little bit.
How long did it take you to sort of realize that this wasn't something that you were able to sort of keep warm and what that could do? It just kept getting tighter and tighter, so I felt like I could keep fighting through it, but it just didn't. They didn't let me finish it out.
What did Matt say to you when his arm around you and he was talking?
I don't remember much, honestly. I was just super frustrated and disappointed. I just wanted to finish the game and try to do what I could for my team, and I just couldn't really remember much, honestly.
With the high hopes coming off last year's playoffs, you're 4-2.
Yeah, it's tough. Tonight didn't go the way we wanted to. Just got to keep fighting, battling, and try to bounce back this next week.
How much hope did you take from that first drive of the second half where you were able to get down into the end zone that you could fight through it?
Yeah, that definitely gave me some confidence, and the O-line did a great job just allowing me to sit back there, and I didn't really have to move around on that drive and just dink and dunked on the field, and receivers got open, and Tariq made a great play on that back shoulder route to score. So I just felt like I could keep doing that, and that's why I was kept going. So the O-line just allowed me to stay back there, and I didn't have to move much.
Do you remember the play that happened?
I knew it was on the last drive before the second half. That's all I remember.
You played through the shoulder. You never talked about the shoulder injury this year. How you got the hip. I mean, how concerned are you that you're going to have to take a step back here at some point, not be able to play?
I'm sorry?
I mean, you've played with a lot of stuff this year. You've been hurt. You've had your shoulder hurt. Now your hips hurt. I know you want to play. Is it concerning that maybe you won't be able to play? It'll take the decision out of your hands going forward here.
Yeah, it's definitely tough. You just want to be out there with your team, but if you're not 100%, you can't help the team. I'm not doing the team any favors if I'm not able to run around or throw the ball with accuracy because I'm throwing with all arm. So you just got to be smart from that factor. But I'm gonna fight as long as I can to try to be out there with my guys, and hopefully it's something that doesn't prevent me from being out. So just got to evaluate the next couple of days, and hopefully it bounces back quick.
Yeah, 2 third-and-ones in the second half, and one was the option to the left, and the other one was like a sprint out and one entry in the flat. Were you affected, do you feel like, on those particular plays, because both of them had you on the move?
On the option, I should have attacked the DN a little more and pitched the ball. I pitched it too early, which is why they made the play, and I don't really remember the second one. Sorry.
What were you communicating about the injury? Was it just you and Coach Ragone? Matt said he would find out in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I really wasn't telling anyone. Just try to keep fighting through it and try to stay on the field. So.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you.
All right, as far as getting started here, obviously a disappointing loss for us. It's a game that had nothing to do with effort. Our guys played hard, but just in the end, 7 points isn't enough. You got to score more points than that to win, and we didn't do that tonight.
Matt, what was the decision at the end to go away from the pitch there?
Yeah, it was all based off of he just wasn't feeling right. His hip was hurting him. We knew it a few series earlier. That something wasn't right. We watched him kind of just to keep an eye on him and see how it was, and I had to pull him aside and talk to him and just ask him and say exactly that we needed him to be honest with us and trying to play through that is what he was doing, and at the same time it was affecting a little bit of how he was able to throw, and I just don't want to put him at more risk, and I also don't want to affect how the play is for the team.
You never saw him go into 10?
No, he didn't. He didn't.
What happened?
Yeah, he just had an earlier deal where he landed on it, and it just he was playing through it, and then so Coach Rags, our quarterback coach, he mentioned to me that we got to keep an eye on him, and so that's what I started doing. Then we kept an eye on him, and then I think it was probably 1 or 2 series that he went through with it, and then I finally pulled him aside. I said, "Listen, here's the deal. We got to know, and you got to be honest with us as to where you're at." And it was hard for him to say that. It was really hard, but he told me exactly how he felt, and then I made the decision to put Chase in there at that time.
The game was close. It
Yeah.
was tied.
Yeah, no, it
Still made
didn't
the
matter.
decision
Yeah,
to get on
same
there.
decision. Yeah, yep.
That third quarter, fourth quarter on the injury?
Say that again.
Did you feel it in the third quarter?
I got to find out more because I didn't find out the details yet from him exactly the play that it happened, but I just know that it was affecting him, and he wasn't saying anything to me. He was playing through it, so I'll find out more later.
I'm Vic Vaughn on Chicago's very own 720 WGN.
Based off of he just wasn't feeling right. His hip was hurting him. We knew it a few series earlier. that something wasn't right. We watched him kind of just to keep an eye on him and see how it was, and I had to pull him aside and talk to him and just ask him and say exactly that we needed him to be honest with us, and trying to play through that is what he was doing, and at the same time it was affecting a little bit of how he was able to throw, and I don't want to put him at more risk, and I also don't want to affect how the play is for the team.
You never saw him go into 10?
No, he didn't. He didn't.
What happened?
Yeah, he had an earlier deal where he landed on it, and it just he was playing through it, and then so Coach Rags, our quarterback coach, he mentioned to me that we got to keep an eye on him, and so that's what I started doing. And we kept an eye on him, and then I think it was probably 1 or 2 series that he went through with it, and then I finally pulled him aside. I said, "Listen, here's the deal. We got to know, and you got to be honest with us as to where you're at." And it was hard for him to say that. It was really hard, but he told me exactly how he felt, and then I made the decision to put Chase in there at that time.
All right, there you go, Matt Nagy after the football game as the Bears lose to the Rams 17-7.
I call BS.
Really?
Let's get to the callers.
That's interesting because I thought that sounded mostly legit, but maybe you think
guys, let me tell you something. You never finish a game feeling worth a darn. I mean, especially in a game like this that, hey, it's an elimination game. The whole season is about tonight. We win, we're 5-5, we're still alive. And guess what? You couldn't have, wild horses couldn't drag Aaron Rodgers off the field, but our guy, he goes over and pouts. Spare me.
That part, I 100%.
Time. Chase Daniel is coming into the ball game with 3:24 to go in the game. Chase Daniel coming in for Mitch Trubisky.
I mean, what are the concerns here? Is this something they're just making a change?
Let's go to Mark in the Northwestern Medicine sideline report. What are you learning?
Yeah, no indication of any type of injury for Mitchell Trubisky. He's down here on the sidelines, just kind of pacing around by himself, has the baseball cap on, so it appears to just be a replacement here at this point, and I'm just keeping an eye on Trubisky as he walks down the sideline. It appears to be okay.
24 of 43, 190, a touchdown, a pick, and a 65 rating. Here's Chase Daniel in the gun.
It's going to be interesting to see what the reasoning behind this was. Were they at a desperate time and they needed to try to get a big play that maybe Chase could see something differently than Mitch? I'm sure we'll find out talking to Coach Nagy first after the game.
I think your assumption is probably correct because the Bears just not getting anything done yards per play here from L.A. Memorial Stadium. A knee by Goff, and that'll do it. The Rams win it 17-7. It was a muck game, that's for sure, for both teams until the Rams started finding their passing wings in the fourth quarter at a key time to extend the lead to 10, and that changed the complexion of everything. Bears just could not capitalize on some of their opportunities today. Cohen, the lone touchdown for the Bears, a 14-yard reception, and that's it from L.A. 17-7, your final score. The fireworks fly here in Los Angeles on a warm day, up around 90 before the sun went down and it dropped in the 70s, but a great day for fans watching a game here in Southern California, but not a great day for Bears fans. Yeah, half of them. Yeah, that was true. Great support by Bears fans for this game here.
Mitch Trubisky and the Bears. Mitchell, he would leave the game. They said hip injury as the Bears fall their 6th loss of the year. Was it a hip injury? Was he benched? His coach liked to protect him at all times.
Some spread, huh?
Yeah.
Double digits on the board, San Francisco and Minnesota. 10, of course, matches Jimmy G's number for the...
WGN.
Sometimes the catch and run ability of Tariq Cohen can get you out of some jams like this. See if they go man again. Maybe not this time.
Cohen spreads out a little, goes into the pattern to the outside. That pass is caught. A touchdown is the initial signal for Tariq Cohen.
Al Michaels couldn't believe it. A lot of others couldn't as well. That was the one touchdown tonight. Good pass by Mitchell Trubisky.
It was. Hey, folks, let me tell you something. If you go back and look at each one of the passes, there was a bunch of, goofball throws, especially late in the third quarter and into the fourth quarter. But he threw the ball pretty well, especially on the first drive of the third quarter. That was a beauty, and that touchdown throw, I mean, it was perfect. And I turned to OB and I said, they're going to throw it to Cohen on the wheel, and it was a perfect throw, great catch, and we score. And even though, as OB says, we don't throw it into the end zone, at least that was at the goal line. But at the end of the day, I mean, this offense is completely discombobulated. They have no idea what they're trying to do. And we brought this up. There was a third and I think 2 or 4 or something like that in the third quarter.
31.
And they ran an option where the back was 9 yards deep, I think. And
the back was exactly 10 yards deep, and they ran the option into the short side of the field. What the hell did you think was going to happen?
But here's the other part, and Chris Collinsworth did a beautiful job of explaining. That quarterback's got to bring it right to the point of getting tackled to make that man commit before he pitches. Trubisky didn't know what he's doing. He took 3 steps and then flipped it out there where everybody gang tackled the back. I'm telling you, boy,
folks, sometimes
this is nuts.
What's going on here, and I'm serious. And I'm going to say it one more time. If this was, you think that any other owner would let this go? I'm talking about last year. We won 12 games. We won 11 of them on defense. We got every bounce, every break, everything you could think of the ball. Game after game after game. And tonight, look at all the breaks we got tonight. Look at them. The calls, the penalties against the Rams. And guess what? We score 7 points. How many times? Week after week, last year, this year, again. I mean, I don't mean to talk in circles here, but for God's sakes, I don't know where to go. How the hell can you score 1 touchdown? How is that possible against a 5-4 team?
Now 6-4.
Now they're 6-4. And Sean McVay, this offense of theirs was
pathetic.
It was on vapors until they just kept kicking and made a couple of plays and put us away.
But defensively, let me just say something defensively. You know, I'm a big Akeem Hicks fan. He is the man on that team, and I'm telling you, make no mistake about it. The guy that we pay $141 million to, of which $90 million guaranteed if he gets hurt. Again, what did he do tonight? What does he do? And by the way, at the end of the game, what is he doing? Now, he's supposedly the El Supremo pass rusher from the outside. What the hell is he doing, Nagy, covering a wide out in the flat? Answer that question, you knucklehead.
We're talking about Khalil Mack, if anybody's confused. I don't think they are, but just want to name it. Also, after that touchdown, talking about Sean McVay's strategy, the Bears get their touchdown. The Bears forced 4 punts after that. They had 14 plays on offense. 3 3-and-outs. They got 30 yards.
Rams, we're giving them the game. And he couldn't take advantage of it.
And we refused to take advantage of the opportunities. Again, in the first half, 3 trips early into the scoring zone. It wasn't exactly the red zone, but you're down, in around the 30, and you have a chance to make something happen, and we wind up with 0 points. Zero.
And then he's down there. It's the beginning of the game, and you got a chance to really set the tone and go in and try to score 6 points. We don't even attempt it. I don't. Jesus, Lord God Almighty, how dumb is dumb? I'm telling you, how the hell do you get down there and you don't even have a play, not one play to get into the end zone to try and score a touchdown? But no, we'll take Tariq Cohen, run him up the middle for a half-yard gain. Jesus.
Well, there was one, Obi, you've been talking about this for a long time, and Hamp too, but they rolled Trubisky out tonight. They put him on the move a little bit more.
Well, they went hurry up. Early in the game, they went hurry up.
But what if you roll out? What's the rule against? If you roll out, you mean you can't throw the ball into the end zone?
Right. But it seemed like they were trying to do different things. Results weren't much better, but it looked a little bit different, is my point.
Again, here is the essence of what we started with way back in September. These are the things that you work on in training camp and preseason games. And that way, when you get into situations like this, you know what you're doing. It was obvious that this team was completely unprepared to execute the offense that we needed to be able to morph and adjust to. And somehow, some way, again, some of these calls Nagy made during the course of this game,
oh my God.
I'm telling you, it's almost like, coaching 101. He made so many bad decisions. But regardless, this was a game that was winnable. They were trying to give it to you, and we refused to take it.
Absolutely, Danny. That is absolutely correct. And again, Slash, everything went their way. The bounce of the ball, especially the calls. My God, it was unbelievable. And you sit here, and you only have 16 games, and you've got all week. You got your quality control people showing you what their tendencies are offensively and defensively. And you mean to tell me this is what you come up with? One touchdown in 60 minutes of football against a team that you could beat? And again, one more time, what the hell is Khalil Mack doing covering a wideout at the end of a game when we needed a sack and a fumble to get the ball? And what is he doing? He's in the flat covering a wideout for the Rams. Now, you tell me that makes sense?
312-981-7200. I don't think anybody would tell you that made sense at all. It was bizarre. Do we think, before we get to the calls,
let's get to the callers.
I'm just curious, just a real quick informal poll. Do we think that Matt Nagy went rogue and pulled the quarterback and he was fine? Because you saw him walking up and down the sidelines. I never saw him go to the medical tent. And then all of a sudden the Bears coming out with the Twitter here saying that he's got a hip injury.
That's just to cover Trubisky's feelings. So it doesn't matter.
So
again, see, everything it's so convoluted.
It just seems a little bizarre.
If he had a hip injury, he'd be walking around with a limp. Please, I'll guarantee you that. And if there was, he'd be on the bench or somewhere, and there'd be a doctor's attention with him right there. The doctor would be right there by his side.
All we saw was the baseball hat. He's walking around. He looks completely beside himself. So it's hard to put that all together and add it up.
Believe it.
Right. Let's get Quinn. We'll get to the calls right now. Quinn in Austin, Texas. You're up first. Welcome to WGN. Go ahead, Quinn.
How's it going, guys? First time, long time. I just agree with you guys. Maybe on third down in this game is it's lunacy, really. I don't know why that option play is even on the play sheet. It says BU on the back of this play call sheet. It should say BS, and that's exactly what it is.
All right, Quinn, we get you. Next time you call, don't be on speakerphone.
But here, the option, by definition, there's an option. Either quarterback keeps or pitches. Now the guy's got a bad shoulder. Everybody on the is aware of that. You know the quarterback's not going to keep it. It was a ridiculous assumption to think that they were even going to, act like the quarterback was a threat. Ridiculous.
That's a great point.
Of course it is.
And then who the hell is the coach that told the ace back that we're going to run this? And by the way, Trubisky, we'll run it into the short side. And by the way, our ace backfield guy line up 10 yards deep. Play never had a chance. Never.
And to your point that you've been making all season long, I don't know how many times they worked on that play, but it certainly looked like that could have been the first time they ever tried it.
There you go.
312-981.
Throwing stuff against the wall.
7200. Johnny in Lincoln Park. What's up, Johnny?
Hey, thank God for you guys, because you get mad for me. I'm in such terrible depression, but when I hear you guys, you lift me out of it. Thank God I really mean it. Listen, I'm a good golfer, and there are some guys who choke every Sunday, some guys don't. Thank God I don't. And I haven't paid for a Sunday in so long. I win because I don't choke. Imagine this, at the beginning of the game, I wanted to strangle Nagy in one hand. I wanted to strangle De Niro in the other hand. And I mean, this before what happened. Can you imagine how I felt after those two field goals? Every sport, to me, is a game of momentum. And when you lose two stupid field goals like that, when you got a great opportunity, as you guys said, tremendous opportunities, God was with them in the first quarter, and to lose two more, I wanted to kill Nagy last year. I wanted to kill De Niro last year.
Hey, Johnny,
keep him alive, Johnny. We appreciate it.
Johnny, let me tell you something. You're talking about we don't play to win a football game, okay? Now you say, OB, how could you make that statement? It's right in front of you, folks. Take a look at it. We don't. Again, I don't know where to go with this. That's how stupid stupid these game plans are. To get down into an area where you could score, instead of throwing an 80-yard pass, you could throw a 30-yard pass on a post pattern, a corner pattern, double post patterns, my God, crossing ends, fly patterns. There's so many things that you could have done, and we don't even try it one time, folks. Not one stinking, lousy, rotten time do we try it. And again, another game goes by, we lose, and what do? Score one touchdown.
So, two questions for you. Do you make a quarterback change going the rest of the way here? I don't see why you would.
Can't. No, you got to play Trubisky,
right?
Win, lose, or draw. But, and I'll just tell you this. If you're going to put Chase Daniel in the game, you don't wait till you're down 10 points and it's 2 minutes left in the game.
Right.
You got to do that early in the fourth quarter. Give him a chance.
That was not fair to
No,
Chase
it
Daniel.
wasn't fair to anybody. Nobody. But back to Nagy. The hidden hand of the 12-4 season a year ago was Vic Fangio, and we've seen it now. He's transformed Denver. They should have beat us. They should have beat the Vikings. I mean, the guy is a great coach, and he has a certain essence that makes the players play hard. And he is severely. I know we're missing a key mix, but Vic Fangio and Ed Donatel, I'm telling you, those two guys, it's starting to really show that they were a big, big part of what happened last year.
And one more on the kicker. You can go out and bring in kickers this week. You're not going to find a guy. Here's a young dude who you bet on. You're 4-6. Do you let the guy try to work through it, or are you going to cut him tomorrow and say, goodbye, Eddie Pinheiro, we'll find somebody else?
I don't see how you can cut him tomorrow. We're now on the backside of the schedule. We play at home against the Giants, a team.
What are you going to do?
My God, that we should absolutely crush. We should, and I think if you let him go this week and bring in another kicker, then you're just making it worse. Get the kid in there, get him out there practicing every week, and it is what it is. Sometimes things are what they are, and that's what it is.
Right.
And if they made the change now, it would create a lot of havoc, which they really don't need now.
We are going to play a little bit of the head coach tonight, at least the snippets on what he says about the quarterback, because I got to hear it. So we'll get to that, and we'll get to you coming on back here. 312-98.
Hang in there, callers.
312-981-7200. Hampton will be till midnight. Bears lose to the Rams 17-7. They're 4-6 on 720 WGN.
Yeah, there's some times in there when, we missed two tonight. So some of that is exactly where you're at. And it's kind of a feel of where you think you are, field position wise, and then the play that you have. So that was just the route we went. And, we want to be able to make those field goals. Yeah. No, I mean, you want to see field goals made. I mean, we all want to see that. He knows that. So we got to, again, you're in a game like this and it's a defensive battle and points are at a premium, you want to be able to make those kicks. And I kind of look at it too, to start the game, we've been struggling with drives getting going, and we finally got a couple first downs, and now, it might not sound great, but we were in position to kick a field goal to start the game and we missed it. And it's just, those are the ones that I really wish we could have. What's that? No. I mean, no. That's, again, we for us, we look at us, and I think with Eddie, he knows he's got to make those.
Yeah, you had that 1/3 and short where you ran an option to the left. What was supposed to happen?
Yeah, no, it was what was supposed to happen was we were supposed to get the first. We did, and it was a good play by them. We had a kill on the play. But Mitch made the right decision, and sometimes you have those plays. That's certainly one that I look back at it, and wish that we could have back. There's a couple of those per game, but those guys did everything we asked them to.
Is that an example maybe where his hip was bothering him?
I don't think so. I got to find out more details as to the when part, and then see if it. But for the most part, I think that I don't think that affected it.
Another 3rd and 1 later in the second half, where it looked like you spread it out, and you wanted to read, and just kind of threw it around.
Yeah.
What happened on that play?
Yeah, I was blocked. I couldn't see from up top, so I think they jumped the flat.
Yeah.
So, but that was one too that I was keeping an eye on, with him rolling to the left with his hip, and he dirted it. So it was hard I don't know. I got to see it.
That's what you wanted the flat?
Yeah, we were trying to throw to the flat.
Matt, when you have some
want it to be the turning point, and it is not. How do you absorb the reality of where you're at in this season now?
Yeah, it's been challenging. Because these type of games, these close games, we want to come out on top, and we haven't done that. I really look just in general, just offensively. I know that we have the pieces and everything, and we haven't had that one game where it's just been 4 quarters of just fireworks. It just hasn't happened. So we as a team, this is where we'll get truly tested when we get back into the facility and see where guys are at.
Are you at this point questioning some of the things that you thought coming into the season about your team?
No, I'm not. No, I have ultimate trust in our guys, and they're fighters, and they care, and we're all in this for the right reason. So I know that they got everything that they work so hard, and it's tough. We're going through one of those tough deals, and so we want to try to be better.
And I think it clarifies the way. So Nagy's had some testy exchanges with the media when Trubisky comes up, and you could tell right there. I don't know if it was a point of concern. I'm going to be very friendly here, which he was. Again, Trubisky left with a hip injury. With 3:24 to go, we were wondering, was he benched or not? But he said it was based off Trubisky not feeling right. His hip was hurting him. We knew a few series earlier. So it looks like this wasn't a benching, or at least they were able to couch it. Trubisky struggled in this one against the Rams' standard 4-man rush, completes just 52% of his passes. Nowadays, that's obviously terrible. Used to be good a long time ago. His first 8 games of the season, he completed 68% of his throws against standard rush. Top plays! Can't miss that. They're next. Meanwhile, the Bears, I mentioned, I buried them. They're done. Mitch Trubisky looked like he had a bit of a hip injury. We'll hear from both participants from this game coming up here on SportsCenter. What do you make of him in the offense?
Listen, I've been on Mitchell Trubisky all season, and he was a guy that was supposed to take the next step to be one of the elite quarterbacks, or to at least be one of the very good quarterbacks that can bring his team to a championship. He has not taken that step. He has not ascended to another level. And this game, he did not finish. Whether it's a hip injury, whether it was just making sure that he was healthy going forward, he was not able to create enough plays in the passing game to give this team a chance to win. There were no big plays over the top. He didn't move the pocket and use his legs like we saw him do last year when he became and showed us that he's one of the more athletic quarterbacks in this league. During the broadcast, they say he watches guys like Deshaun Watson and Lamar Jackson and some of these athletic quarterbacks. I believe that Matt Nagy needs to start to use him more in that way to at least give his team a chance to compete.
I agree. He's a great runner.
That's not what you want people to say when they talk about your quarterback.
But that's the one
Unless
thing
it's Lamar Jackson.
25 carries for Todd Gurley. That's got to be a pretty good sign if you're a Rams fan.
No, this was huge. Just because you've been worrying all season, is this guy healthy?
Yeah.
Is he on the Kawhi Leonard load management strategy? And so tonight, you saw him open up the game, and there was a lot of success early. There were gaping holes he was able to hit. He was finishing runs downfield, and he was showing that powerful running style that we got used to seeing throughout the first few years of his career. And so this going forward is something you say, you know what, we can put our hat on Todd Gurley. We can put it on this run game now that seems to be improved. But more than anything, it was Sean McVay being consistent in calling the runs, which was something we hadn't seen this year yet.
Yeah, the Rams, they carried the ball in this game 34 times. Don't quite get the big plays from Gurley, not the big electric plays. His longest run was 13. He caught 3 passes out of the backfield. You like the home run from him. It's great for an offense to have a home run hitter. And that's what they were kind of built upon last couple years.
Absolutely. He's still a home run hitter, but you have to get those type of opportunities. But tonight, it was just about doing it.
Yeah.
It was about being able to go to the play action when you needed to, because you at least kept a team honest by actually calling the run plays and also having some success. Every play is not going to be a huge one, Boots. You're not going to bust runs for 20 and 30 yards. But if you stay consistent, kind of grind away, it gives you an opportunity to hit a big pass here or there.
You just wonder if Sean McVay trusts his quarterback. He had 10 passes through 2.5 quarters, attempted 10. He threw 18 in the game. This team's going to have to play some great defense down the stretch. We talked about some of the opponents they have coming up. Aaron Donald leads the way. He's with Josina Anderson.
Bears offense had gotten on a little bit of a roll before this game. Mitchell Trubisky had 3 touchdowns coming into the game. How do you feel like he handled the pressure? You guys kept their offense to 7 points tonight.
We played good. You know, we got to keep doing that, continue to do that. We gave up some plays in there. We got to clean up. But, you know, we knew it was going to be a hard-fought game, a tough game. And, you know, I think we played as a team and finished it strong.
You guys obviously have faced a lot of quarterbacks this season. What's your impression of how Mitchell Trubisky handled your pressure?
He did a lot of things because he's mobile, got out the pocket, made some plays. And, we know we was going to expect that from him, just the type of player he is. But I feel like overall we did good as a defense.
And where's the evolution of this defense? Obviously now with the addition of Jalen Ramsey, as you guys try to just mosey into the second half of this season and establish yourself.
Just keep getting better. You know, we've been playing strong last couple of weeks. We can't get comfortable, can't get satisfied. We got to keep dominating. So.
All right, we appreciate your time. Thank you.
I appreciate you.
All right, bye. Back to you guys.
All right, so the Rams have 4 losses. I mentioned the Bears now with 6. You're chasing Seattle with 2. You got to think they're going to win the wild card of the division.
Chasing Minnesota
and
as
Minnesota
well.
with 3. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm sure if you're the Rams, we can catch Minnesota. We only have 1 fewer loss to them, so we'll see what happens there. Again, we'll hear from coaches and quarterbacks from both teams as we continue our coverage from Sunday Night Football. But really, one of the games of the afternoon window, the late hour.
We don't do it the second time. We don't do it the third time. How are you supposed to win a football game?
Hampton and Kaz with you till midnight on 720 WGN. Bears lose to the Rams 17-7. We're getting a ton of texts about the Bears looking for a quarterback, and a lot of people are naming Colin Kaepernick. It's not going to happen. They're going to ride it out with Mitchell Trubisky. You can bet on that. We are going to play Matt Nagy's comment about how he was apparently dealing with a hip injury that was impacting how he was throwing the football late in the game. Yes, OB.
I just want to real quickly here, and then turn it over to Dan. The average gain per pass play, folks. Let me say it again. The average gain per pass play. Chicago Bears, 3.9 yards. In other words, that 3.9, that's impossible. You can't, under 4 yards a pass, you average in a game in the National Football League in 4 quarters. My God.
Should not let you look at the stats. It's like
that's 3.9 yards.
It's not good. And you know, folks, you look at Patrick Mahomes. I think he's somewhere around 8.8 yards per attempt. You know, I mean, it's.
Well, how many times they throw the ball behind the line of scrimmage?
Well, and that's the whole thing. And folks, I know we got the callers here, but let me just try to explain this. And OB, you're always, railing about they won't throw the ball into the end zone.
No, they won't.
And the reason is Matt Nagy has no confidence in the quarterback to be able to throw the ball accurately down on a compressed field. When you're on the 20 going out, you got 80 yards of game field to defend. There's big gaps, big chunks, big openings. But when you get down there close to the red zone, now you got 11 guys and everybody has a chance to make a play. Nagy refuses to allow his quarterback to try to throw it into the end zone.
What is Nagy doing as a head coach in the National Football League?
He's protecting his quarterback. He's protecting
what is the quarterback doing in the National Football League? If in fact that's true,
that's who the general manager drafted. So again, like I said, this whole thing is dysfunctional.
You know what? This guy Pace. There's been a paper written in I believe the Chicago Tribune, and it was in again today. I think it was 4 or 5 full pages, and it's all about Trubisky in the draft against Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson. Very extensive. They asked Pace, our general manager. They asked him to interview him about this article. He refused.
Of course he did. And look, when you try to be the smartest guy in the room, you take big swings. Sometimes you're going to have huge misses. And this one is just an enormous, enormous miss. There's no way around it. Everybody knows it. He knows it. And how are they going to move forward?
Wait a minute. Wait.
Okay.
Trubisky acts on the interception. We're going to talk about this ad nauseum. The Anthony Miller pushed off and was so, out of sorts by worrying about pushing the corner. By the time he turned around, he wasn't prepared to catch the ball, and it carried up over his head for the interception. It was a good pass. That was not Trubisky's fault. The point being is the kid at times he struggles horribly. But tonight, he actually threw the ball pretty darn well. But we never were able to systematically put together a drive. And see, that's what a lot of defenses are doing when they go zone. They're going to say, hey, sooner or later, you're not going to go 13 plays. You're going to make a mistake. You're going to get a motion penalty. You're going to get a holding call. And you're not going to be able to make it sustained. And that's what we're doing. We're unprepared to sustain drives. And, yeah, our quarterback is not great. But tonight, it wasn't his fault.
What did you think of the offensive line?
I give him a C+. At the end of the day, it wasn't like the Rams and Aaron Donald destroyed us. And he had a lot of, but again, a lot of those passes were those little checkdowns and wheel routes and speed screens and all that nonsense at the line of scrimmage. And how many passes did we see, executed for no gain? Sickening.
Time for the Muller game-changing moment, sponsored by the Muller Auto Group with family-owned dealerships in Highland Park, Gurnee, and Hoffman Estates. Muller Automotive, you will not be disappointed. Real quick, Muller game-changing moment, Tampa.
It was the interception. After that, the Rams took it on a short field, went right down, and scored a touchdown in 4 plays.
Kaz coming up here after the news. We'll also hear from Matt Nagy, his reasoning on Mitchell Trubisky. That's coming up here. Real quick, OB.
Yeah,
yes.
just Mike Muller.
Yes, Mike Muller.
Mike, if you're listening, buy the Chicago Bears, please.
That's an option. Why not? I don't think they're for
That's
sale.
the best call of the night, right there.
That could be the Hampton OB with Kaz game-changing moment. Muller to buy the Bears.
There'll always be a Muller in the house.
There you go.
17-7 Rams over the Bears. Bears are 4-6 on 720 WG. With Kaz, welcome to your show. Glenn Kozlowski joining us here on 720 WGN. Hample being Kaz till midnight. What'd you think of what you just heard from Matt Nagy on pulling Mitchell Trubisky?
Well, I think he made a lot of bad decisions tonight, talking about Coach Nagy, and it started from the beginning where he just doesn't have any faith in his quarterback, and he clearly butchered his kicker as well, doing what he did, going for it in the second series, 4th and 9, instead of having the guy kick it. But I things that I'll say, the difference between Aaron Rodgers or the other elite quarterbacks, and this is one of the plays that stood out to me. The Rams jumped off sides. Mitch Trubisky saw it, and he checked it down. Any big-time NFL quarterback knows that that's when you throw the long ball, and because if it's intercepted, it's intercepted. It doesn't matter. It's a free play. Not our guy. He checked it down. That sack that he took late in the game, and then they got the holding call. He had Robinson on a streak there if he'd have just thrown it, but he chose not to, and he took a sack. So it's hard. Nagy's in way over his head. Ryan Pace has been horrific as a general manager. And your quarterback, although at times he didn't play awful, I counted 4 times where he hit the back of the defenders on long balls, Ed. Anything over 20 yards is the long pass. And he was not good throwing the ball down the field. That's one of the issues. And on occasions, he has these moments where it falls into place, but he's inconsistent. And that starts with the head coach and the quarterback coach, or the fact that this kid just isn't ever really going to be what we hoped he was going to be. And it's starting to look more and more like that, unfortunately.
He had one pass down the sidelines where they would have gotten an interference call, and he threw it 20 rows up in the stands. Do you know what I'm talking about?
He hit the back of some of the defense. 20, the Ramsey kid that came over from Jacksonville. He hit him. I could think of 2 occasions where he hit him in his back when he was in coverage. And really, I felt like Robinson had him beat deep if he would have let him and thrown it out further. But hey, that's when you have a quarterback that's inconsistent. You have a offensive coordinator / head coach that clearly doesn't know what to do or how to do it right now because his offense doesn't fit, this style of quarterback. So tonight was the night that you pretty much lost everybody, I think, on that team.
They might have. They very well might have. All right, Kaz, you want to take some calls with us?
Let's go.
Sure, let's do it.
312-981-7200. Mike in Rockford, welcome to WGN. Go ahead.
Yes, good evening. I don't understand how long this is going to go on. Pace getting the GM of the year last year, Nagy Coach of the Year, so that buys him a couple of years. This is an absolute joke. So Ryan Pace thought Glennon was great, and then he goes and he drafts Trubisky. He signs Glennon. We lose like $9 million there. So we know the guy's not capable of judging quarterback character and quality. So
it wasn't $9 million; it was $18.5 million. But keep on going,
Mike. It was $18.5 million.
Yeah. Okay. So even worse. So my point is this: we got to play Trubisky the rest of the year, which is fine. I'm all good with that. They fall on their face, guys. Look, you guys all played for the McCaskies, well, you didn't play for the McCaskies. You played for Mr. Hallis. Okay. It all starts at the top. I don't care what kind of business. You run a hot dog stand, you run a professional football team, you run a corporation. It's all ran by management, and you got to start at the top. And this is all a football operation. McCaskey's they run a business, but they don't know how to run a football team. They're not like the Packers or the Steelers or the Patriots that put out good teams every year. These guys are a joke.
Right.
So my question is, how do we stop this? They're going to continue to keep these guys going? I mean, what do we? You don't have a number one pick. What's your opinion on this?
Got it, Mike. Thank you. 312-981-7200. How do you stop it? I mean, we were just sitting here during the break. OB,
you can't. There's no answer.
Right.
OB, Ed, maybe you have some lightning has struck you or something, but I look at this and I wrote hopeless. That was the note that I wrote down. This is hopeless. There is no answer.
You're
got to get through the year.
Right, and then when you're in the offseason, you're going to be looking at quarterbacks, I would assume, and you're not going to have any sexy options. You're going to be bringing in Jameis Winston. You're going to be bringing in Cam Newton. You're going to be bringing in Phillip Rivers.
No, wait 1 second here with that, okay?
Go ahead.
Phillip Rivers, all the quarterbacks you mentioned, they got to give the okay to come here. You think Phillip Rivers is going to leave Los Angeles and the Chargers and come here under Pace and Nagy?
It's a fair point. Maybe
that would never happen. You wouldn't get a quality quarterback to come in here, no matter what you promised them. Period.
Yeah, that's the truth. And the Bears, George McCaskey has to make to me, it's a pretty simple decision. You got to let go of your general manager and your head coach, and you got to start again.
Hey, Glenn.
I mean, there's no other option.
Yeah.
Right? That's it.
Glenn, I agree with you 100%. And that's been done before. That's been done before. And people think, well, the McCaskies, they're a little, because of Virginia, nobody wants to do whatever. But I'll tell you something. You got the greatest fans on the planet Earth, and you don't want to lose them. You don't keep shoving in a bunch of junk down their throats. And I'm going to tell you what. Pace gave Glennon $18.5 million guaranteed. And guess what? They tell him he's going to be the starting quarterback when they did this in the year 2017. They have a big draft show out at Soldier Field. Dan Hampton was there. And they sent Mike Glennon out there because he was the new addition. They just about 40, 50 days before made that big deal with him. He's going to be our leader, our quarterback. They get him up on the stage. And what do? They give up an entire draft to move from third to second. And who do they draft? Trubisky, a quarterback. And Mike Glennon is sitting there. And Dan, I remember you told me that kid,
he ran off.
He was looking for a hole to jump in. He was so embarrassed to put that kid in that position who you just brought in. He was going to be the leader. You're giving him $18.5 million. And look at what you do in the draft. Just think about what I just said, folks. If you were the corporation or somebody, you would have been fired immediately. You'd have been gone.
I thought almost even worse than all of that is that John Fox was not included in the conversation as they're going to get the quarterback.
He wanted Deshaun Watson.
And he wanted Deshaun Watson. They had a head coach that they knew that they were moving on from. So a whole year.
They didn't even include him in any type of decision making.
So just get rid of him if you're not.
How is that possible?
Yeah. That shows you how dysfunctional this whole thing is. Now, at the end of the day, just think about this. Okay, you get rid of Pace and Nagy. Okay, where are you going to go? What's your next coach? I'm just telling you, that's the problem. They didn't know what to do when they brought Pace in, and then Pace brought Nagy in. Nobody knows what they're doing. Don't you understand? How do it's insanity because they don't know what they don't know.
Isn't my recollection here that who's the guy that's the president and CEO of the Bears?
George McKeskey. No, Ted Phillips.
Ted Phillips. Didn't when they were going out looking for a GM back a few years ago, didn't they use a headhunting?
They called Ernie or Cozy. They called Ernie or Cozy.
And got a headhunting company to find a general manager.
Well,
you mean to tell me
that is right.
A team that's
they did do that.
Footing and foundation of the National Football League, we don't have anybody in management ownership that knows another team that you could call and ask and get some help. You got to hire a headhunting outfit to find a general manager to run your draft and to run your team and hire people.
And that's, if I was the owner,
how laughable is that?
I would have fired him when they said we need to get a headhunter. No, that's your job. You need to know what you need to do. They don't know.
Yeah. Left turn to it's time to grade the Bears secondary. How was the coverage today? Sponsored by PPG Paints for the best coverage. Chicagoland Painters pick PPG. Grades, anybody?
It's pretty good. And I'll tell you why. You know, you can say what you want about Jared Goff, but they only attempted 16 passes tonight. Completed 11 of them, 173 yards. They held Jared Goff to below a 70 quarterback rating, 69.9. And you know what? I got to tell you, the secondary, maybe one of their best games because that's why, you know, Jared Goff looked so bad. He had nobody open.
Hang in there, Kaz. Quick timeout, 312-981-7200. That's
Hang
the phone
in there,
number.
callers. We're going to get to you.
We'll get to you in the next break here. We'll do it with the next segment. 17-7, Bears lose to the Rams. They're 4-6. Months after 9/11, a pound of cyanide found in a CTA tunnel. The man.
I was just trying to keep it loose the second half and be able to make plays for my team, and I just kept getting tighter and tighter in the hip region, and I just couldn't move around like I wanted to, and I was just throwing with a lot of arm, and I was trying to make plays and stay on the field and fight through, and just disappointed I couldn't finish the game out.
Was it hurt in the first half?
It was one of the last drives, the second half. So just try to second quarter. So just try to keep it loose and just kept getting tighter and tighter, and this is really preventing me to play my game, and just it's frustrating.
There it is, Mitchell Trubisky telling you that it started before the half. And got in the hip region.
In the hip region, that's in the whether the rivers and trees, nice. Look, guys, I had 18 knee operations.
It doesn't make sense.
I had 18 knee operations, guys. I can tell you exactly when it happened. Each one. Okay, you can too. I'm just telling you, for him to say, one of the drives. Wait, no, I'm sorry. This kid is not doing himself any favors with this line of BS.
Kazi, what'd you think of that quote?
Well, listen, the best series was the beginning of the third quarter when it was tightening up. So it just doesn't jive. It doesn't fit. But if you're injured like that, why are you going around hugging everybody after the game and doing all that stuff?
Yeah, you'd be.
I mean, you turn and you go right into the locker room, don't you? I mean, none of it. It's all nonsense.
Yeah,
I thought that was a great point. It
That's
happened.
what we said.
It happened before the half. You just had your best drive of the half.
And why? And you take him out of the game after he actually did some good things in that opening drive of the third quarter. Then you pull him. No, see the whole thing. It's insanity. All right, let's get to the
Who brought it today? Let's do that real quick. We'll get to the calls. Who brought it today? Sponsored by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois. The card to bring through it all. Kazi, who do you got for who brought it?
I would say the return guy, and especially on special teams too. Besides returning it, I mean, he was fearless in crushing the punt return.
You're
guy
talking about Cordell Patterson.
So,
That's exactly who I was saying. He was beating the double team all night.
All night and crushing them. I mean, it was an awesome, day for him, and he brought it.
Yeah, but he had his helmet off and got a penalty that really put us behind.
I say the kid that played well today was Kwiatkowski.
Kwiatkowski?
I think he's the one that played well. I would give it to him.
He made a lot of plays.
I thought, you know who had played better that we haven't seen? I thought Roquan had a better game. He's at least relative to what he's been doing.
Nobody blocks him. He's supposed to make tackles.
Well, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I would agree to it. I mean, it's all, but we could pick him the last couple of weeks because the kid has come in. He's filled in at both inside backer
Kwiatkowski, you're talking about?
Yeah, and he flies down the field on special teams. I mean, this kid could win it the last couple of weeks. He brings it. I mean, he does.
One other thing. For whatever reason, we had the best halftime adjustments of the season. The defense went out and got 3 and outs all third quarter, and the offense actually came out, put a drive together to get us back in the game. So the coaches actually did something positive.
For a moment. All right, let's get Jim.
Well, they ran that 6-1 for crying out loud, and they said, hey, you got to throw it to beat us. And really, the Rams couldn't throw it to beat them.
Yeah. I mean, there's some good things happen, but hey, when you're off, look, we figured it out. We played 10 games. The offense has scored a grand total of 16 touchdowns. 16. 7 touchdown passes by Trubisky. 8. 6 of them in 2 games against the weak sister Redskin and Detroit Lion defense. That means in the other 6 games, he's thrown 2 touchdown passes in 6 games. What else do you need to figure out?
Yeah, that's not an NFL quarterback.
All right, real quick, Jim on the south side. You've been waiting forever. I want to get you in real fast. Go ahead.
All right, bud. Hey, you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. I just want to say, Hampton will be. It's a great honor to talk to you guys on the phone. I just want to say that the bottom line comes down to ownership. It's the same thing with the Cubs. The Cubs never won anything until they got rid of the Tribune Company and then the ownership that was nonsense.
You got it, Jim. Great call. I mean, it's the same thing with, the Blackhawks made a change with Rocky, and all of a sudden you got 3 Cubs hanging. Of course, it's from the top. I mean, we underline that. I think everyone agrees.
Okay, but you paid $141 million for a pass rusher.
Yeah.
Tonight, playing against an offensive line with 2 third-teamers and 1 second-teamer, we had 0 sacks. Very, very little pressure. I mean, that ain't the owner's fault.
Danny, to me, that's the story of the game. What the hell do you have Khalil Mack covering at the end of the game when he should have been rushing a passer? Hopefully you get a fumble or whatever. And what is he doing? He's covering a wide out in the flat at $141 million.
In the third series of the game, he's on the sideline drinking water. He wasn't even out there on the third series.
Kazi, you got 10 seconds.
I'm glad you brought that up, Ed, because that was one of the biggest. I mean, when I saw him go to the flats, I'm going, why did we spend all this money on him to get to the quarterback?
He's our number 1 pass rusher.
Kazi, we'll talk to you next week, my man.
You got it. Hopefully next week we'll get better.
There we go. Glenn
Kozlowski. Can't get worse, I don't think, guys.
That's true. See you, brother. Insurance companies use lizards, ostriches to make us laugh. What happened to having an honest, smart human being guide you? That's our guy, Jeff Vuk. Check out jeffvuk.com. Jeff Vukovich, decades of experience nationwide on your side. News next to this debacle. And we bring him in right now on 720 WGN. Adam, let's get your update on the quarterback situation with the hip and Matt Nagy. And not going to the tent and all of it? Are you buying what the Bears are saying?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel like a juror trying to listen to the witnesses here and try to figure out who's lying and who's telling the truth and what's going on here because, look, let me tell you what they said. And it started with Matt Nagy telling us that he was aware of this hip injury a few series before he was pulled from the game. So that is either late third quarter, early fourth quarter. Mitch Trubisky gets up to the podium and says he definitely knows that it happened on the last drive of the second quarter, and he was evaluated at halftime. So the fact he's evaluated at halftime eliminates the possibility that he just kept it to himself and didn't tell anyone, which sometimes happens. Players keep
no, that's not. That's impossible.
What's impossible?
That he was evaluated and nobody knew about it and he kept it to himself?
Right.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. What I'm saying is by him admitting he was evaluated at halftime means that either Matt Nagy lied after the game to the media about when it happened, or Mitch Trubisky's lying about when it happened and he's making up that he was evaluated. That I doubt. Or the other possibility is all that's true, and somehow an evaluation of your starting quarterback for an injury at halftime didn't make its way to the head coach until sometime in the fourth quarter, which somebody's got to get fired for that. I mean, I don't know how that's possible. So it's this is a complete debacle and a PR nightmare here for the Bears to try to explain. Dude, I don't know how they explain this. Someone's lying, or somebody didn't tell somebody the truth in the middle of the game, which is not how this is supposed to work.
Nagy pulled him. They made up this stupid story to try to cover and save face. So who cares? I mean, it's like they're eighth graders running the team. Okay, let's talk about the actual football game. You know, and I was the first one tonight saying, hey, Trubisky was not the issue. He actually threw the ball pretty darn well a lot of the game, and especially in the first part of the third quarter. That one drive, 13 plays, 80-yard drive. I mean, he threw some really, really good balls. But early in the game, when the Rams were trying to hand it to us on a platter, with all the nonsense with the kicker pulling it, and then we ice the kicker and go for it on 4th and 9, and then we put him back in on another try, and he pushes. What was said about that nonsense?
Well, you're talking specifically with the field goals?
Yes.
Okay, missed. Then it was 4th and 9, and it would have been a 49-yard attempt, and he didn't opt to go for it. He went for it on 4th and 9.
Right, I agree with you here. And Nagy, all he had to say about the kickers, guys, is that he hasn't lost faith in the kicker, but yeah, you'd like to see it go in, and they're not going to look at kickers this week at Hal, which, by the way, is not his decision. That's the general manager if he wants to bring in kickers or not. But to your point, though, Hamp, I'm with you, because I didn't like how that all played out when it happened. Because here's the thing. The guy misses the first kick, so now he's clearly in a slump. So he's not feeling that great. Well, now you have the second opportunity come up, and he goes for it on 4th and 9. Well, that doesn't help the confidence of your kicker at all anyway. And it's 4th and 9, so you don't get it.
It wrecks him.
Now, your next chance, I believe, was 4th and 6, a little bit less, and now you kick it after you just further damage the kicker's confidence on the one before that.
Yeah,
so
you just pulled his pants down. Yeah.
Yeah, either you try the field goal on the second one, or if you don't, because you don't trust the kicker, well, then you don't trust the kicker on the third one either, and you go for it again on 4th down there. So the going back and forth on it just shows you that, I mean, they're basically guessing on what they're doing out there right now, and it's just one of many things that just does not look good for this coaching staff. By the way, I don't know do they not coach these wide receivers? The drops are one thing. They're continually not lined up, and you had a scramble where Mitch did a great job of extending the play, and every wide receiver on the field just stood there at the first down marker, didn't even move. Not a single one.
That was unbelievable.
This is football 101. You either go deep or you come back to the quarterback. You don't stand in place, and all of the wide receivers on the field at the same time just stood there.
See, I saw that, and I'm like, you all don't think he can make a play, so you flat out just gave up on him. You gave up on the team. You gave up on yourself.
Guys, I'm telling you, see, these are the problems that manifest themselves when you start coddling one certain player, which they have done to Trubisky. Now, the rest of the team loses not only faith, but they resent the fact that he was coddled. They're not. And, and when something like that happens, instead of busting their butts and keeping, involved and trying to fight to get open, they basically stand there and become spectators. They might as well buy a ticket. Sickening.
Well, that won't happen on this show because Day and I have your back, and I've got Mark. I've got everybody's back here.
Thank you, Obi.
You love me. I love you guys, and we work together every day, hours putting the show together. And you have my back, and I have your back, and WGN has our back, and I have WGN's back. And we love them all because we all work together because everybody's got everybody's back. Will you get rid of this kid? And the coach and the general manager, and get the hell out of Chicago.
You know, if I was to tell you before the game that we would hold Jared Goff to 173 yards and Todd Gurley wouldn't break 100 yards, and we basically own time of possession and all these things, they were trying to give us the game. And yet right in front of our eyes, we emboldened the Rams enough to where they basically just said, hey, if you don't want this game, we're going to take over. And they did late in the fourth quarter. And I got to tell you, you know, we've already made a point out of this. Have you noticed Khalil Mack, our $141 million pass rusher, never touched the quarterback. Nobody sacked anybody. I'm telling you, that so-called great defense that everybody was blowing and going, and Ditka said, oh, could be the greatest. I mean, you know, that's what we're getting. That Todd Gurley, you know, is the only threat, and he wasn't even, you know, a modicum of a threat to beat us.
Don't forget, again, we score one touchdown.
Yeah.
Don't ever forget that, to our listeners out there, that you do not play the game in the National Football League this way. And we struggle to score one touchdown. You think we don't have a problem with the head coach, offensive coordinator, position coaches on the offense? You think we don't have a problem? Now it's turning on the defense.
That's it.
We got a serious situation. And I'm going to tell you what, the back half of this season, except for the New York Giants, watch out, folks. Watch out.
Was there any comments on Anthony Miller, Adam? You know, he's offensive pass interference, drops the football, interception, and then he's talking. Dude, what are you doing?
Well, he was instrumental in the Raider loss as well.
Yeah. I mean, this guy's been continually frustrating. He's part of what I was talking about earlier with the wide receivers, where they're not lined up properly. He gets one nice first down on a slant, and he does all this talking and spinning the ball. And then I believe it was his next target where he gets offensive pass interference, doesn't extend to get the pass, tips the ball up in the air, and it's intercepted. And then, by the way, he took his mouthpiece out and threw it at the Rams, into the Rams sideline. And I believe talked to Jalen Ramsey all the way across the field. I don't get it. I think it's a focus issue. And, I mean, have you guys ever seen...
It's called undisciplined, Adam. It's called undisciplined. Same way the receivers don't run continually when a quarterback breaks out of the pocket and scrambles. They have to run. They're not disciplined. There's no fear. Everybody's doing their own deal. They're all being you.
Well, and that's why I agree with you, Hamp, what you said earlier. I mean, look, Mitch didn't have a great game tonight, but he wasn't the biggest problem.
No, he wasn't.
He got zero help throughout the game.
Yep.
Whether it was a bad offensive line again, which continues to be a huge story this season. The offensive line is just not good enough. The wide receivers are dropped. This team leads the league in drops. It's spread to Allen Robinson now, who's dropping first downs. Taylor Gabriel, more drops tonight. Anthony Miller's just, his head's everywhere except seemingly focused on the football. And, by the way, have you ever seen a team, 41 offensive plays in the first half? 41 offensive plays and 0 points. I don't even know how that's possible.
It's called 2 missed field goals and going for it on 4th and 9. I'd like to get the analytics department on that. What's the odds that you're going to make it on 4th and 9 and throw in this quarterback in this offense and then boil that all together? What is it, 2%?
If that. Go ahead, Adam.
Go ahead. Well, I was just going to say, how many, another way to look at this, because you also fairly brought up that the Rams were trying to give away this game. The Rams didn't look good tonight. How many teams in the NFL would they have beaten tonight besides the Bears? I mean, they probably would have beaten the Dolphins and the Redskins, maybe the Jets, and that's it. Every other team in the league would have beaten the Rams tonight with the way the Rams played.
And see, that is called reality. And for whatever reason, this general manager and this head coach still strutting around like they did something special last year. Oh, yeah, well, like they got that 12-4 stuck in their back pocket, and that gives them, carte blanche. Let me just say this. Matt Nagy in the second quarter, the Rams run into the kicker. It's 4th and 5. Instead of taking the penalty and going for it, we're 4 and 5. We're on We're on the road. We're in desperation mode, and yet it would have been fourth and less than a yard. Let's go for it. Instead, he refuses the penalty and lets them keep the ball at the 22. What is going on?
And he went for it last week in a similar spot right there.
Right.
Exactly. And then he was talking big. Oh, yeah. I thought, well, hey, we need, something to get us moving and blah, blah. Well, big shot. Here's your chance. The Rams gave it to you on a platter, 4th and inches, and you don't even take it.
I think if you gave him truth serum, he'd say, did you see what the Rams defensive line was doing to our guys? I had no chance. I didn't have any comments. We get a half a yard. I mean,
and that's fair. That's fair, too. The offensive line was getting blown up throughout the game.
Yeah. All right, Adam, we got to roll. Appreciate you. We'll read you at WGNradio.com. Great stuff as always.
Good job, Adam.
All right, thanks, guys.
Adam Hogue out at the Coliseum. We got to take a quick
Probably
time.
headed to the Whiskey A Go-Go.
Straight to the go-go. It's a great plan on a late night on a Sunday in L.A. after the Bears lost to the Rams.
Equivalent of Laurel and Hardy. These two boobs couldn't get it right if you gave them 1,000 chances.
There you go.
From Mitchell Trubisky to Kevin White to Leonard Floyd, signing Burton and Glennon and all these. It's just been bust after bust. And at some point, Ted Phillips has to take accountability, and we have to throw him in the mix to be out of here as well. But this team cannot stay competitive. They cannot play the game. And it's evident. The poor defense at some point is going to be exhausted. Khalil Mack had no tackles.
We got you, Patrick, and appreciate you holding that long.
Pat, let me just say this real quick. Pace, when he gets fired, and he will get fired, I don't know when, but he will never be hired again as a general manager in the National Football League. And Nagy will never be a head coach or an offensive coordinator because it's the good old league. He might be a special teams coach or a receivers coach or something like that. But that Pace is one and done, and he takes Nagy right with him. And they couldn't get out of this town fast enough for me. Neither one of them know what they're doing, what they're talking about, what their goals are, how to win a football game in the National Football League. Why do I say that? It's right in front of you.
By the way, quit, everybody worrying about the defense. They only played 50 plays tonight. Come on.
Yeah. Let me get one more in there.
Plays.
Mike in Elk Grove, real quick. Go ahead.
Ryan Pace is a moron. He watched North Carolina win the basketball championship and then pick Mitch Trubisky. What are you doing? This is a joke. Then he signs Matt Nagy to be the coach, and Matt Nagy in his second year thinks Mitch Trubisky is so good he doesn't need to practice in the preseason. Are you kidding me?
We got you, Mike. Appreciate it. Real quick, Chris, go ahead.
When I was growing up, you wanted to be Dan Hampton. You wanted to be Ed O'Branovich when you played in the park with your friends. You wanted to do that. This team has no identity. They have no running back. They have nothing.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it. Dan, real fast.
I think the single worst play of the game, which summed up the season, and every week we seem to reach a new low, was it was about halfway through the fourth quarter. It was 3rd and 1. They put Trubisky in the shotgun.
Yep, we got it, and then they do the thing. Hey, for that one, you get Bartolini's, man. Hang on there, Dan, real fast. Mary, you're the last one. Real quick, go ahead.
Yeah, the last touchdown for the Rams when they went in. Jackson goes for the ball for the strip instead of hitting the guy and tackling him before he goes over the goal line.
Amen.
I love that call for you, Mary.
Yeah, I just said that. Both are safeties in the hole. You want them blowing up the running back. They basically do a splitsville and lets the back fall in the end zone. They don't even hit him.
That's been going on all year. All right, Bears lose 17-7. They got the Giants next week. We're on at 3 o'clock. Gentlemen, it's been fun. Sort of, I guess, right?
It's been real.
Well, I'll tell you what. That's the unfortunate thing. It is real, and there's no way you can go around this. What's been going on here? Okay. Bad.
17-7. Hope you enjoyed the show. 720 WG.